Hey you guys, my name is Mara Sullivan. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be about Phylicia Rashad, aka the mother of America. Not just the mother of Black Hollywood, not just the mother of all of my sister girls out there, but Claire Huxtable is the mother of America, okay? Like there's just not been a better mother on TV ever in the history of TV and the history of like film. She's just the absolute best. But this video is one of the videos in a whole series that I'm doing on here called my 60 plus golden series, where I am doing videos on all of my favorite influential women over 60. So if you haven't seen any of the other videos, go check those out. I've done a video on Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lewis, Cher, and I'm going to be doing many, many more videos on my favorite influential women over 60. So feel free to leave your favorites down below and maybe I'll do a video about them. And I think I'm going to do like some of my favorite influential men as well once I finish up getting most of my favorite women out of the way. But I just really wanted to do the series. The series is actually inspired by my friends and my own family and my own life referring to me as a grandma so much of the time. And it's just from a lot of like personality traits and things about me that are very grandma like. I still listen to the radio. I love a newspaper. I am in bed by 9 p.m. All I drink is tea all day. Like I have just these little personality traits. I listen to older music. A lot of my style and things that I'm into are that of, someone of a different generation. And I'm fully leaning into that. Through doing this series. I am 26 years old. There's a lot about me that's 26, but there's also a lot about me that is an 80-year-old. Like I would say I'm like 20% 26 or 20% Gen Z and 80% grandma. Like that's just who I am. And I'm fully embracing that, fully leaning into that by doing the series. So let's talk about Phylicia Rashad. My favorite, top favorite quote or favorite like number one takeaway from Phylicia Rashad's life is one of her quotes, and that is, "What you see is what you get, and if you can't see it, you ain't gonna get it." Like, just drop the mic right there. I absolutely love that quote so much. I heard her say it in an interview when the host asked her how she felt about being discouraged, about getting turned down for roles, about, just rejection. And that was her answer to that question, is that what you see is what you get. And if you can't see it, you ain't going to get it. And I thought that was such a fabulous response. Like it's it's just so beautiful and it's so incredible because what she was essentially saying is that you cannot be anyone but yourself. She cannot be anyone but herself. And even if she obviously her job as an actress is to play the role of other people, but at the end of the day, whatever character she's portraying, the essence of that character is the essence of her, is who she is as a person, and she can't turn that off. She can't turn off Phylicia Rashad even when she is playing another character. And so I just thought that response was so beautiful and something that we can all honestly just portray and apply to our own lives. And you need to apply that to relationships, failure, rejection, anytime people can't see you or don't get you, they're not supposed to. And just tell yourself that quote anytime that you feel discouraged or anytime that you feel disheartened or just someone has made you feel bad. What you see is what you get. And if they can't see it, then they ain't going to get it. And it just is what it is. They're not supposed to get it. That person is not for you. That opportunity is not for you. That job is not for you. And I just thought that that's absolutely fabulous because we've all heard that quote or the saying, what you see is what you get. But I've never in my life heard, that's a Black woman for you. I have never heard anyone in my life say, what you see is what you get, but if you can't see it, you just ain't gonna get it. And fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Another huge takeaway that I learned from studying Phylicia Rashad's life is that life is magical. All life is magical. She says that all beings are magical. That we are a magical people. And I love that quote so much because, of course, she was talking about Black people, but that can be applied to humanity as well. We are a magical species. We are a magical people. And I think we're living in a day and age where we're not, it's easier now more than ever to not embrace being a human being because of technology. We want to lean and to turn to technology so much. And I'm so grateful for platforms like YouTube and for the iPhone that I'm recording this on. But this came from someone's mind. And we can't forget the beauty of human intelligence. AI is literally artificial intelligence. Artificial means fake. Do we really want fake intelligence controlling everything about our world? No. Human beings have such strong and real intelligence. And I think that that quote, hearing her say that just reminded me so much that we really are a magical people. Like I said, Black people especially, she said that we are a magical people because we're able to make something out of nothing. We are always, like, Black people have mastered, especially Black women have mastered the art of making something out of nothing. Okay. But it also applies to humanity. We've taken so many things and made it something else. The human mind, us as a species, we've been able to create things like technology, things like Steve Jobs created the iPhone. Like, there's so many things about our mind and about our own ability and our own talents that I think we're not focusing on enough. And especially as technology continues to advance, it's easier to play dumb. It's easier to not use our brains. And when it comes to the mind, if you don't if you don't use it, you lose it. Like, it is literally becoming an epidemic now, people not using their brain. And I'm saying that as a 26-year-old, I'm Gen Z. And so I'm seeing it more and more in people my age and younger than me, especially. The common sense just isn't there. People just are not using their brains anymore because we're so addicted to this technology, and there are pros and cons to it. But you really have to, like, remember, that we are a people who are able to make something out of nothing. We are people who create, like, human beings created technology. They created, Einstein created the light bulb. Like, Steve Jobs created the iPhone. Like, the human mind is so powerful, and we really, really are a magical species. We are a magical people. And I love that Phylicia Rashad, you know, emphasizes that in so much of her message and so many interviews that I've listened to. She's talked about that we are a magical people and that all life is magical. And we are able to create something out of nothing. And that is magic. That is, the beauty of being human. That is the beauty of our world, is that you really never know what's around the corner, and you never know the power of your own mind. And so I really just wanted to, make sure that I emphasize that, because I want whoever's watching this and whoever sees this to remember to use your brain. Like, to please use your brain and do not waste your intelligence. Do not waste your mind. Don't waste that, because you have it for a reason, and going to be we have the ability now, like I said, because of technology, to just take that for granted so much more. But please, you guys, use your brain. Like, don't turn to technology, don't turn to Google, don't turn to ChatGPT for every single thing. Get in tune with your own intuition. Use your own mind to make your decisions. We can use, the technology and chat and Google and all of our resources to our advantage sometimes, but it should not be a replacement for us being able to think for ourselves. And so I just really, that quote just made me really think about, just people being magical. Her saying that, and then her saying that, we are people who are able to make something out of nothing, just really made me think about our intelligence and how much power we have in ourselves. So that's just a reminder to get away from, you know, using technology for everything. Remember that we are a magical people. We have magical brains and our own intuition and our own spirits, that are so powerful and can, make decisions for us and guide us, and, you know, listen to your own inner body and inner person more. You cannot talk about Phylicia Rashad without talking about Claire Huxtable. And so, of course, I have to talk about The Cosby Show. There's so many lessons in her getting the role of Claire Huxtable. First one is she talks about, when she was auditioning for the role, she says, whenever something is close to your heart, keep it quiet. Like, don't tell people about anything. And I've applied this to my own life so strongly. I believe in privacy. I believe in not telling people everything. I believe in keeping your mouth shut until things are done. And Phylicia Rashad really talks about that in a lot of her interviews and a lot of things that I've, podcasts that I've listened to her on. She really says, especially getting that role on the Cosby Show, she said that her number one prayer, she asked God to please um, give her, keep her quiet, and to also keep her quiet and keep her still. She did not tell anyone that she was applying or auditioning to be Claire Huxtable except for her mother. And the only reason she told her mother was because she needed her mom to watch her kids while she flew to LA. But she said, when something is close to your heart, don't tell anyone. Like, just keep it quiet until it's done. And I think that that's, again, it's part of it, goes back to that, the technology conversation. Because of social media, all of us feel like we have to share everything. You do not. Okay, privacy is luxury. You don't have to share everything with everyone. Everything is not for everyone, and things happen so much. It's so much better when you wait until things are done, when people see it when it's done, rather than just keep talking about it. Because when you tell people your plans and you tell people the things that you're going after, a lot of times, especially if it's a lot of unconventional things, they're going to input their own opinions, their own advice, unsolicited advice. They're going to tell you what they think about it and what they think you should do. And it's going to be a lot of noise. And especially like she says, when something is close to your heart, especially, shut up. Literally, shut up. Stop talking. Stop talking so much. Stop telling people everything about your business. Keep that ish to yourself. Shut up. Not everybody needs to know everything. We are living in a world where we're oversharing every single thing, and it is ridiculous. Honestly, it's just ridiculous. And I do have a podcast, and I share a lot about my life on this YouTube channel. I share a lot about myself and my story, but there's a lot that I don't share on the internet. This is the internet. At the end of the day, this is the internet, and everything is not for everybody. So keep discretion as a part of your life. But going back to her Cosby Show interview or audition, she said that she really just, her number one prayer was for God to keep her quiet and to keep her still as she was going through that audition process for Claire Huxtable. She said that when she got to the building to audition for the role, that without her even saying anything to anyone, one of the stagehands actually came to her and told her, like one of the guys that was just working on the set was like, I can take you to a room where you can be quiet. His exact words were that, I'm going to take you to a room where you can be quiet. And that, like, her prayer, without even knowing that her prayer had been for her to be able to be quiet and be still. She said that he, took her to a room where she was able to be quiet. She was able to tune out the noise, be in tune with her own self and her own thoughts. And she said while she was in that room before her audition for Claire Huxtable, she said she heard the divine spirit, her own intuition, whatever you want to call it. She said she heard it say that this is not about you. This role, what you're about to walk into has nothing to do with you. And I think that a lot of times especially if you're someone who is trying to figure out your purpose or trying to, discover who you are in life, and you have all these ambitions, and, you might even know exactly what you want to do. It's so easy to focus on self. A lot of times our purpose and what we're supposed to do is not about us. It's about being in service to other people. And so she said when she was in prayer and in meditation before her audition, she just really heard that voice, whether you want to call it the voice of the divine, your inner voice. She really just heard the message, this has nothing to do with you. And she said after she heard that, she knew she was good. She knew she was able to just walk into that audition and be her best self and be more calm about it and have that stillness about her and about that role in that audition. And we all know the rest is history. But I just thought that story was so beautiful and so amazing, because it's so easy to look at people, and this is why I study people's lives for fun. Like I would be doing. I'm so grateful that I have YouTube and this platform to share the things that I learn. I'm glad that I have this platform to be able to share those things. But this is what I do for fun. Like I would be doing this regardless of whether or not I had somewhere to share this, because I just study people's lives for fun. I'm a nerd. I need to know everything about everyone. I can't just like something. I need to know their shoe size. Like I need to know everything about everything when I'm super into it, or when I'm a fan of something. But it's just so easy to look at people and not know what they did to get to where they are. And I just love taking the time to really hear people's stories and hear them tell their own stories and read about their stories and their lives and the things that they went through and the mindset that they had to have to get to where they are. And so that's a huge part of why I'm doing this series, is because you never know where someone came from. You never know what someone has done to get to where they are. You never know what they've been through to get to where they are. Phylicia Rashad talks about being um, fired from one of her first jobs in theater, and she said that she got a job at the Ford Theater in DC, and she was fired from that job. She said she had three options. I believe it was after she graduated college. I'm pretty sure she went to Howard. She said she had three options, three great jobs, but she said her number one mistake was asking her mom what she should do instead of choosing for herself. And even though we love a mother's advice and a mother's wisdom, there are some times when you need to make the decision for yourself. She said that she made the mistake of asking her mother what she thought she should do. And so her mom told her to take the job in DC at the Ford Theater because that's where Lincoln got shot. That was literally her mom's reasoning for it. Take the job at the Ford Theater. You know that's where Lincoln got shot. It's just such a mom thing to say. Phylicia Rashad took the job at the Ford Theater, and she got fired from that job. And she said her number one mistake was not asking herself first which job to take. Um, but she talks about a lot of her moments of failure and her moments of being discouraged and the things that she has learned from that. Um, she said that her mom moved around a lot, and her parents divorced when she was 6. Her mom moved her and her siblings to Mexico City of all places because her mom loved to move around. She loved exposure and just new things, and she moved her and her siblings there without them knowing a word of English. They did not know anyone in Mexico City. And Phylicia Rashad talks about how that experience at such a young age shaped her so much to be able to, you know, be more eclectic and be more cultural and be more fearless and risk taking. Because when you're basically picked up and put into an environment where you don't know anything, you don't know anyone, you don't even speak the language, you have no choice but to get outside of yourself and get outside of your comfort zone and do what you can to figure things out. And that's such a huge part of her story. And she was only in Mexico City for a semester. You know, her sister is like Debbie Allen. I can't remember if her name is Debbie or Debbie Allen, but the dancer. But she really talks about how they became just so iconic, and just greatness was instilled from them from such a young age because of her mom and her dad. I believe her dad was a dentist. And they just being surrounded by greatness, growing up in greatness, growing up with, like I said, exposure. One of my favorite quotes by her, she said, um, children will learn if they are taught, and if they are taught with love. It's getting easier and easier to, like I was saying before, raise kids in this day and age without using your brain, without using just so much of parenting. I'm not a parent, but I do work in a school, and so I'm just seeing how kids are just so different. But I love that quote by her. Children will learn if they are taught. And you have to have patience, you have to have love. She says that one of her favorite things about growing up is that her mom never fussed. She said she said her and her sister made an ice skating rink, I think like in the living room, by putting baby powder on the floor and skating around the floor on their socks. Now, if you know any mom, especially a black mom, they would have literally like yelled at you so much for that. But she says that her mom was just so ahead of her time. Like her mom never yelled at them for that. Her mom just said, "Y'all know that's not an ice skating rink." But that was as far as it went. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a fuss. She allowed them to be kids. I think that's what I was getting at. Like, even though I'm not a parent, I am seeing that young people are just growing up so fast. Like a lot of it is because of technology, and we're losing the innocence of being able to be young. I feel it myself at 26. And granted, I did have to grow up young. I did lose my mom at a pretty young age, and so a lot about my life was just natural. I had to grow up fast, but I am seeing 26 today isn't what 26 used to be a few years ago. You know what I mean? Like people my age a few years ago were had had more of a nightlife and party scene, and that's just becoming less and less. And it's a good thing because I am really realizing that a lot of people my age just aren't drinking or going out or partying. Huge part of it is the economy right now. So there's like a lot of good and bad to everything in life, but just the innocence of being a child. And if you are a parent, remember to give your kid, allow your kid to be a kid, where kids can be a kid. Allow your kids to just have fun and be able to express themselves. Going back to the Cosby Show, she said one of the reasons why the Cosby Show was so incredible, one, that show saved NBC. Like NBC as a network was really about to shut down, and the Cosby Show really saved NBC. And she said that that show was so incredible because it really was about human behavior. And she said that humans naturally are funny. People are funny. Even people who take themselves too seriously. I just got in my head like Archie Bunker. Like even people who are just ridiculous and stuck in their own ways are funny. And what the Cosby Show did was allowed people to be who they were and to be funny, have humor without making them look stupid. And I think, especially with Black people, that's hard to do in Hollywood. And they were one of the first, if not the first, TV show to do it. But she said that's part of what made that show so great was that they maintained integrity. That's what a great comedian does. You know, it's hard. Comedians are so amazing because they're able to do that. When you can maintain the integrity of a human without making them look stupid, comedy is so hard to do. Good comedy is so hard to do. That's why that show was just incredible. She also said another reason why the Cosby Show was so good was because it was based off of like things that Bill Cosby was had going on in his life with his own wife and kids. Like he was raising a family while he was doing the Cosby Show. And so a lot of that was real. And so I think, like I said, a good comedian is able to do that. I know Bill Cosby's done some things. We've learned a lot about him since then. Um, but when it comes to that show, it is one of the hardest things to do is separate the art from the artist. Um, but you can't deny greatness, unfortunately. There's so many nuances to that. But anyway, can't deny the greatness of that show. It is, to this day, the best show that's aired on TV. That show went on for 8 seasons. Another huge part of Phylicia Rashad's story is being able to deal with rejection, like I was talking about earlier. She said, to my surprise, after the Cosby Show, she could not buy a job. Like, she could not get, no one was offering her roles. She could not get a part. Nothing for a year after the Cosby Show because in Hollywood, you get typecast, especially if you are a Black woman in Hollywood. You get typecast. You get known for one thing. And once you do that one thing and you become known, in her case as Claire Huxtable, no one in Hollywood is able to see you as anyone other than Claire Huxtable. And so she really talks about having to go through hard times and having to go through, she was out of work. She was legit out of work for a year. But she said during that time, and this is what I really take so much inspiration from, she said during that time, she stayed ready. She stayed ready for the next opportunity. She said she continued taking voice lessons. Phylicia Rashad is a very good singer. I don't think most people know that. She took voice lessons. She continued to take acting lessons. She continued to work out. She did Pilates. She did Pilates before Pilates was a thing. She said she was doing Pilates during that time. She was still exercising. She was still staying up to date on her craft and still rehearsing and still practicing and still taking all of her lessons because she knew that the opportunity was going to come. But she said during that time it was so hard because she could not buy a job. Like she said literally, and if you don't know what that means, it means that if she could pay to be in something, she couldn't even do that. Like that's how hard it was for her to get a job in Hollywood. And she said that she ended up or in film and TV. She said she ended up actually going back to her first love, which is the theater. She went back to the theater because in theater, if you can act, you can act. And that's where she started. And the theater was her first love. And so she said after doing the Cosby Show, basically her only option if she wanted to keep acting was to go back to theater. And I love this so much because when things feel like, and she says this too, when things feel like all is lost or bleak, or can you imagine how much of a mind frick it is to go from being number one in the world, not just in the country, number one in the world, and then not being able to get a job? Like no one wants to hire you. But she says that when it looks like all is lost, and when it looks like all is bleak, it's really not. She said it's up to you. You have to determine, do you love to do this? Do you love to do this? And you have to make up your mind, I love this. I want this. I'm I'm going to do it. You can't give yourself another decision. And so or another option. When you make up in your mind that you want something, you're going to go after it, do it. She said when you can get to that place of I want this, I was made for this, and I'm gonna make it happen. And so anyway, she talks about going back to the theater, and she ended up winning. I can't remember if this was before or after. I'm pretty sure it was after Cosby. Um, but she talks about being the first Black actress to win Best Actress a Tony Award, and she did it for A Raisin in the Sun for Lorraine Hansberry. And so she ended up breaking these barriers in theater anyway. She ended up being on top anyway. And I love her story so much. I love hearing her talk. If you've never listened to a Phylicia Rashad interview, or if you only know her as Claire Huxtable or any of her other roles, just go listen to her talk. She's so comforting. She's just such a mother. Like Kiki Palmer said, she's a mother. And I love her story so much. Another huge lesson that I learned from her, she says a lot of life is just mother wit. And that is a phrase I had not heard in a very long time. She said mother wit. She said a lot of life is just mother wit. She says you need to get yourself to a place where you can just say calm down. Get your mind right, child. That's one thing I love to hear her say because she says it in a lot of her interviews and stuff. You got to get your mind right, child. And that's just such a Black mom thing to say. You got to get your mind right. She said a lot of life is just mother wit. We overcomplicate, you guys. We overcomplicate so much. A lot of things are common sense, but common sense is becoming a lot less common. A lot of things are common sense. A lot of times you just need to breathe, get your place, like she said before, quiet, still, relax, take a step back. That's mother wit. When you just have that intelligence, when you just have that common sense, when you have that, even that ancestral knowing or divine help, a lot of things are just mother wit. And I love, love, love hearing her say that. Also, going back to the Cosby Show, she said that when she met Nelson Mandela, he thanked her. And she said that he told her he used to watch the Cosby Show on Robben Island, which was the prison that he was in. He watched the Cosby Show with his guard and on Robben Island. And he said that watching the show softened the guard, and it really helped him so much. Can you imagine? She said it helped him so much to get through that time of being imprisoned. You never know. This goes back to your work not being about you. You don't know. When you're really walking in alignment and in purpose, it's so not about you. You have no idea the people who you are going to help, the people who you are going to inspire just by walking in your purpose. And this is why you can't give up on things that you really want. Can you imagine? She said he told her that he would watch that show with his guard, and it softened him. Like that is one of the best compliments you could get from anyone anywhere. But you just never know. And she really says that acting is a creative service. And just we're also losing this a lot in our microwave society. perfect your craft and have respect for whatever work you do. It doesn't have to be acting. Have respect for whatever work you do and take it seriously. Take it seriously. Put in the effort to perfect and put in that effort to master and to just do things well. We don't hear about Black excellence anymore, or at least not as much as we used to. Do things well and don't just, for lack of better words, don't half-ass things in general. When you know that there's something you want to do, take it seriously. Do everything that you can do to make it happen because it's not about you. Sure, it's going to elevate you, it's going to hopefully allow you to make a living, but you have no idea the amount of lives and the people that you're going to touch when you do what it is that you're supposed to do and when you take it seriously. So, really remember to have respect for the work that you do, have respect for the person who you are, have respect for your own life. Another thing that I heard her say is do not do a disservice to your work. Don't, like I said before, just don't disrespect the work that you do. It's a disservice if you are not giving your best. She says that it's a disservice, when she knows that she's not learning anymore, not learning, not growing, even as seasoned and as experienced as she is. She still says to this day, if she's not learning, it's not worth it. Nothing is worth it unless you're continuously learning and continue to learn, continue to grow. And so do not do your work a disservice. Also, when she was talking about her childhood, she said the number one thing her mom instilled into her was to be fearless, but don't be stupid. We all know what happens if you run out and move in traffic. Like, don't be stupid, but be fearless. And I think that that's huge to apply to any area of your life, to all areas of your life. Be willing to take the risk, but think about it first. You have that common sense, as we talked about before. Use your brain, but take the risk. Have the discernment to know when something is worth going after or when someone is worth going after. And just really be fearless. Be as fearless as you can, but don't be stupid. Another one, I like to talk about, things that I learned about these women's routines and diet and habits. She has a huge emphasis on meditation, as I talked about earlier. Meditation, prayer. Phylicia Rashad is vegetarian, which I learned for the first time. I did not know. But yeah, she does yoga. She's super into biking, and she really just does her best to take care of herself. But she just really has the emphasis on meditation and on being still and on being quiet. She's a prayerful woman. She also talks a lot about her friends being her anchor. She says that every woman should have a place to go or nowhere to go when her soul needs soothing. How beautiful is that? Every woman should have a place to go or should know where to go when her soul needs soothing. And she says her friends are that for her. She says she does, spend a lot of time alone as well, but she has incredible friends. And she said the best friends, you'll know when someone is a really good friend when they don't need all the particulars about a situation. They just want to know, are you okay? They don't really care about what happened or how it happened or who it was with. They just want to know, are you okay? And I love that so much because good friends are hard to find, y'all. But I just love that she said that. But just really make sure that you remember that every woman should know where to go when her soul needs soothing. Think about that. What's your place? What's your safe place? What is you know, your sanctuary, if you will? What's that place that you can go to when your soul needs soothing? But those are some of her like practices, things I've learned from her routines, a little bit about her life story. Phylicia Rashad is absolutely incredible. She is phenomenal. If you have never seen um, August Wilson's Gem, I believe it's called A Gem in the Ocean, where Phylicia Rashad played not Ma, Aunt Esther. Go watch that. I think some clips of it might be on YouTube. One of her best roles ever. Um, August Wilson is incredible. When she talks about August Wilson, she said she would be in a room with August Wilson, and she said, "This is what it must have been like to be in the room with Shakespeare." Like, oh my god, like I love that so much. I'm such a nerd anyway, you guys know this. But I just have so much respect for people and for their talent and for the work that they do. And she said that that's how much presence and intellect and how powerful of a mind August Wilson had. It was that she really felt like when she was in the room with him, that that's what it must have been like to be in the room with Shakespeare. How incredible. How absolutely incredible. Last takeaway that I'll mention that I learned from her life story, or just something else that I heard her say, is that an artist should never keep painting the same picture forever. It's okay to do it for a while, like talking about her being Claire Huxtable for a while. I think that show went on for maybe seven or eight seasons. But she said an artist should never paint the same picture forever. Use all of the paint colors in your palette or in your paint box or whatever you want to call it. But use all of the paint colors. And you don't have to be, a quote unquote artist to apply that to your life. Life is huge. Get as much of life out of it as you can. And it's so easy to get stuck in our own little worlds and our own little bubbles and our own little minds that we forget how how much diversity there is in the world and how many things there are to explore, and just stay curious and give yourself permission to change your mind, give yourself permission to try new things and to go new places. Don't be someone who paints the same picture forever, but please, please, please do yourself um the I don't know, do yourself the service or the act. You owe it to yourself to use all of the colors of the rainbow, all of the paint colors that you have afforded to you in your life. That is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Comment down below your favorite influential people, men, women, whoever, over 60 down below. And go check out my other videos that I have done in this series. And I'll talk to you guys in my next one. Bye.